Okay. You want to tune in?
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Out together. Sit straight. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Om Namo Gurudev Namo Om Gurudev Namo Om Gurudev Namo
Agre Namo,
Gagre
Agre Namo,
Sagre Name Siri Gurudeve Name Adgre Name Shugakre Name Sagre Name
Siri
Name Adgre Name Shugakre Sagre Name Siri Gurudeve Name Adgre Name Shugakre Name Sagre Name Siri Gurudeve Name. Breathe. Good. Thank you, dear. Japa Saraswati, we would like to see this thing, the message.
Okay. So I sent it to all of the text messages already, and then we're going to screen share and read it. Here it is.
Ah, perfect.
Can you
Good.
see this?
Okay, so here's the message. Now, we have actually a lot of things today. So, so please, here's the message. And, Atma, no, Japa Saraswati, go ahead.
I just had a sip of water. Okay. Primer 2, Clean Slate. Oh, my dear light workers. From Baba Siddhichand has confirmed that humanity has actually created those dark, terrible energies from so many ancestors, as well as from our current humans. From those really dark energies. Those traits are from all of our inherited as well as present humans, including our karmas. Humans have free will, but yikes, some from our original ancestors came together from the proverbial melting pot of all humanity. So now we are all from our parts of our dark energies that have inherited within all humans. For instance, the most amazing Atlanteans blew away the whole world from power, greed, etc. And then other additional human factions, sorry, just skipping over this for a minute, are also created from their dark energies with more epigenetics.
Okay, can you put that down a little bit so that people can just see that picture?
Yes.
Okay,
Well, I think
these are epigenetics. You see that? See those DNA is yellow and these blue things are epigenetics. Okay, go ahead.
What did they do, Siri Gian?
You're going to hear that.
Okay. Epigenetics studies how behaviors, environment, and life experiences can cause heritable changes in gene expression without altering the DNA sequence itself, essentially acting like switches that turn genes on or off. These modifications, like DNA methylation and histone changes, create an epigenome that tells genes when to work, influencing development such as emotions, traits, health like cancer risk and disease, and can sometimes be passed across generations. They could be generated from our ancestral humans, from their source energies such as terrific power, control, killing, incarcerated, stealing, war, raping, fighting, greed, fear, subjugating women, such as the victimizers as well as the victims and more, and also are from our own karmas. So don't forget that the actual spiritual side difficulties are actually from our own soul contracts. They need to learn our crazy, awful victimizers as well as victims until they rectify or solve their true lessons. With from those healing tests are how we become mature humans, and then we need to clean it all out. As you see that finding now these times are surely having incredible opportunities happening now. So now with the great frequencies of the fifth dimension, you may feel very extreme hurtful emotions. So with the Aquarian shift, we may have a really hard time when squeezing out from our dark energies from antiquity as well as now. And ETs will definitely help us. But here are a few things.
Okay, now wait. Did everybody understand that? Do you understand that?
Yes, and there was supposed to be another picture in here. I'm wondering if it's further down in the document.
Oh, later.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
And ETs will definitely help us. But here are a few things. Decide your free will. ETs are not our saviors.
You got it? Wait a minute. You got it? Be sure you know that. Okay, go ahead. Japa Saraswati, go ahead. Japa Saraswati?
Can you hear me?
Okay, now you can.
Okay, you can hear me? Okay. Do your light, love, compassion, consciousness, non reality work as our own strong, loving habit. Pure, loving, spiritual humans will feel your loving heart light energy, but know your own true God as your pure, loving energy. Let go of old stuck beliefs, unloving, hierarchical, controlled, such as from church, dogma, sin, with kind.
Hello? Japa Saraswati?
Yes, can you hear me?
Now I can.
Is everybody having trouble hearing me? When
I hear you.
Just a few words started, let go of old stuck beliefs.
I'm gonna take off my earbud and see if it helps.
Okay.
Yeah, just went offline for a little bit.
Okay. Um, Let go of old stuck beliefs, unloving, hierarchical, controlled, such as from church, dogma, sin, with kinds of those media, schools, parents, families, friends, ancestors, media, catastrophes, natural or human, etc. So be no reality. Instead, know yourself from your own loving soul God. Remember the spiritual concept about being unattached? That includes letting go from our ego, our reality, everyday self, the world, even from our body and personality. Being unattached or being unstuck energy means not being attached or fixed, permanent, unchanging, strong holding, etc. Always be love and compassion for yourself and within all others. Use your simple everyday self with ordinary stuff for now, but without getting stuck. Be pure humility with pure truth. Consciousness non reality is really great for no reality, yet still be grounded, walking, swimming, feel energy in the center of Mother Earth. Stay aware, dancing, singing, and more. Let go from your difficulties from within yourself, become your clean slate, and be sure that you have beautiful, playful, creative fun from your energy, great, pure, loving, to know who you are as your own self. You are your own soul self as God. Be I am, I am. Enjoy yoga, meditation, be in nature, feel the breeze, know who you are, and so on. Continue to move your energies. Dear sweet light workers, please know what you can continue keeping up and be kept up. Tell
That's it. Okay, now wait. At that point, that would be a picture for telomeres.
I think it's down. Yes.
Oh, okay.
That was the problem, was that it wouldn't go exactly where where I wanted it.
Okay. Okay. Now, does everybody understand that so far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Can we look at the telomere picture for a minute?
Yeah. Take
So
a look
these,
at them. You see them?
yeah.
Aren't they beautiful? Well, we can't, this is an illustration, so we don't know exactly what it looks like, but that's what it's happening.
So are
Okay.
those, well, let's read about them.
Okay.
Telomeres are protective caps of repetitive DNA and proteins at the end of chromosomes, acting like the plastic tips on shoelaces called aglets to prevent DNA strands from fraying, tangling, or fusing with other chromosomes during cell division. Each time a cell divides, telomeres shorten, acting as a cellular clock. Eventually, they become too short, signaling the cell to stop dividing, die, and contribute to aging through the enzyme telomerase, though the enzyme telomerase can rebuild them. Okay, that's
Okay.
again.
You
So
all understand that?
yeah, those are
Okay.
the aglets. They have protein.
Okay.
Each time the cell divides, telomeres shorten, acting as a cellular clock.
Right.
Eventually, they become too short, signaling the cell to stop dividing and die.
Right. And you will find that in the video. Okay. Now here we go for Dr. Clements or David. See that? You remember him for last week. And this is also going to see, go ahead. Wait a minute. See that. Wait a minute. Go up a little to
Oh,
see Pam Gregory is a great astrologist. Go ahead.
okay. Do you want me to continue to read this?
Yes, please.
As you said in our last week's video, his glass in a mud that is a body within epigenetics. When Dr. David Clemens's video today is talking about the dross. Again, it is about epigenetics. Other ETs have said that they would transform from our normal human DNA with 2 pair strings, but humans can later become up to 14 pairs in order to use greater energies with more abilities. Because we have more than 1 1/4 hour for this video, you will see only from clips today. But when you are at home, please be sure to watch the whole video. Okay. So, Siri Gian, just to confirm, you want to watch from 3 minutes to 29 minutes
You got it. You
now?
got it.
And then we will follow up with 1 minute of heart pumping, 5 minutes of CNR, which is strong heart breath, belly breath, nose inhale for 6 seconds, nose exhale for 6 seconds from out of your heart center, slide from fear, let go from any of your nasty, difficult old stuff. No reality, no thinking, no everyday self, but only feel, just be. 2 minutes to become awareness and then understand what has happened from everyday self. Use your notes. Listen, lots of love, Siri Gian.
Okay.
Are we ready?
Okay. Do you all get that? That was too much. Okay. Are you okay? You understand that?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Now, here we go for the video.
It's going to take me a second to load this.
Sure.
In fact, I think I have to do it in another way. I'm going to, please do heart breath. I'm going to load up the video.
Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Someone just came on.
No, that was me opening my email to start screen sharing with you guys.
It says, hello, everyone.
Hi.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Start screen sharing. Where are you?
Yeah, definitely. It's a great place to start. So yeah, it was a little while ago when I was working a lot with the Elohim, and they were bringing a series of activations and templates through, which were to do with helping the energetic linkage between cells, DNA, and other things as well. And one of the aspects of this, which came forward in one of the aspects they did, which was, let me see, probably around 22. I might get the year wrong. I think it was about 22. But anyway, what they were saying is that, and to give an explanation to your audience for those who are new to telomeres, so essentially, we have chromosomes in our body, and in females it's X and X, so they make an X shape, and in men it's an X and a Y. So what happens is the chromosomes are sort of a winding up of the DNA. So if you unwind a chromosome, it unleashes into a full strand of DNA. And so DNA wraps itself up into the form of a chromosome in a very simple way of saying it. Now, the endpoints of the top of the X's and the bottom and of the Y, excuse me, is what they call telomeres, and they're like little end caps, and they regulate and decide on the replication, on the unfolding, the unwrapping, and the replication of a particular strand of DNA. And there was a biologist some time ago that recognized that there's only so many replications that the telomeres can handle before they stop working. So in other words, you get a finite number of DNA replications before that process stops, and it's right, that's it, that's your lot. And so in a way, when you look at human evolution, a newborn baby, beautiful, when you look into the eyes of a newborn baby, you can see the light, the source presence, the high cell presence beaming from that child. And then they grow and develop, everything's great, and then all of a sudden, at a certain age, everything just goes, it just starts to fall away. And what it comes back to me is that, when biologists talk about it, they talk about there's a particular protein called telomerase, and that each replication uses up more and more of that protein, telomerase. And so until basically it's essentially depleted. And what they talk about is when they look at the length of your telomeres on the edge of the chromosome, the longer they are, the more replications you have left, and the smaller they are, the less and less you have left. Now, to me, looking at just in that way, just purely structurally, biologically, there are big pieces missing in my view, and what the teams have told me. Now, one of the things that's happened as humanity has gone through this sort of densification cycle from being, I say, in a relative term, somewhat connected beings down to very, very densified and fairly disconnected beings. And what I mean by that is that as we go down into density, and we've gone through this experiment of what would it be like to have a high disconnection from our source self, our higher selves, and then to learn to go back and remember who we really are. So that necessarily involves a very, very diminished connection with our higher selves and with our source self.
Okay.
And so
Japa
the access to
Saraswati,
the
wait
liquid
a minute.
intelligent
Stop a
light, you
sec.
might call it.
Yes.
Okay. He was talking about how stuck, and that was about epigenetics. You see, these are those compressed energies that he called dross, DROSS, and also for mud in the body. And those are those things that we, for the epigenetics, are like information, and all those difficulties are within you. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. Mud or dross. Okay. Go ahead. Thank you.
That flows into cells, that flows into and out of DNA. There's a very beautiful, intricate system of light weaving and light flowing, all of those things. That's a big subject in itself, and I'm just trying to break it down in very simple terms. But essentially what happens is that when that access to the higher self diminishes within the DNA and the telomeres themselves, The source intelligence, or the higher self intelligence, has limited access to both influence, flow, change, update, do all the other things that need to take place. And that reminds me about many stories of masters in the past who, you know, people will have seen it in different cultures, like, such as ancient Indian culture and other texts that are around, talking about beings that were around for hundreds to thousands of years. Well, in order to have done that, you know, their telomere and chromosomal function would have had to have been very different, because if they just had the same replication span that we have, well, you know, you've got maybe 80 to 100 years if you're lucky, you know. So I believe that what happens is, and the more that I communicated with my higher self and my teams about this, and they often impulse me rather than just having a direct communication. I'll ask an idea and I get a response. Is that there is a one-to-one correspondence between the biological state of your being and your access to, and your cell's access to, your source and high self-intelligence. Because when you think about it, what is? Yes, and I believe that's the key, and I have to emphasize that to people. That really is absolutely key. And one of the beautiful things about that is that does not rely on anything outside of you. You have it all inside of you right now. You know, nothing can take it away. You know, you can be distracted, and, you know, you can be convinced to look elsewhere. But the second you take that journey to start looking within, the gateway starts to open up. And your access to your higher self, your merging and blending, your alignment with your higher self, your source self, starts to kick into high gear. And that's the process you take. And then bit by bit, you know, that energy starts to flood and break through the barriers, the energetic barriers. And those barriers can be many things. So over many lifetimes that we've had, we've added many traumas, you know, misdeeds or mischoices that we've made. You know, they all package in and get compressed down. And all of those act as barriers to this, what I would call a sort of a liquid, a high vibrational light that flows in, you know, in a almost like a plasma type of way. You know, and there's more to that story as well. That's another whole conversation of itself. But essentially, as we work on ourselves, as we break away those old belief systems, the old traumas, the emotional dross that has built up over many lifetimes, that light gets more access. It can break things down, it can lift those things up for you, and you can release them and let them go, as I've talked about in the past. But as it does so, it gets more and more active, and it becomes more prevalent within things such as chromosomes, the unwrapped DNA strand, the telomeres, and things like that. Suddenly, those things now start to operate from within the divine intelligence that is now flowing through them. Now their function becomes very different, and that's the exciting thing. And I believe as humanity, what we're having now is we're going through this transition from having been a civilization that was very dense, extremely limited access to higher selfness and source selfness, where biological function was literally just like a photocopier. So, you know, every time the chromosome would unwrap and a DNA strand would replicate itself, you know, or cells would, you know, divide and split themselves, essentially any damage that came along with that would be photocopied. The copy would come out. That would then now be the template of reference for copying from. Oh, there's a bit of oh, that's okay. We'll put that through anyway because we've got nothing else to go by. That's the only copy we have now. And it goes on and on. So, you know, literally bit by bit, more damage, more destruction, you know, it just goes down and down and down.
So hence aging and chronic illness and going grey and losing our faculties, and because the replication gets poorer and poorer.
It's exactly like the photocopier. That's a beautiful example, because if anybody tries this with a photocopier, you know, put anything, any image in, put that in, it comes out, put that copy back in the original, do that, and keep doing that, and see how many cycles you can go through before it becomes a mulch mess that you can't even recognize anymore. And there is the key point again. If there was intelligent guidance, if there was intelligent handling and remodeling in every moment of that aspect, what would happen then? And I believe that's what's starting to take place. And so the key really is you have access to that well, that infinite well of source intelligence, the higher self within, and to practice the connection, the opening. Your higher self is your best friend, your best ally. It knows you inside and out, from the very most fundamental particles of you to the longest hair strand, whatever you want to say. And it knows what brings you the greatest joy, the greatest expansion. And it understands the path of evolution that you've opted to go through and the puzzle pieces that you wanted to solve. And so it's always there for you, rooting for you, giving you little impulses. Oh, yeah, watch that bit there. Oh, there's a little bit here coming out. Don't worry, it's just coming out. There's a lot of interaction that most people are not necessarily aware of that's happening with your higher self all the time. It doesn't stop. And now, when you imagine, and there was a story I remember hearing about Yeshua being able to hold a dead stick, a twig that he picked up off the ground, was able to literally channel this source energy straight into this twig, and suddenly leaves would grow, and it would just become as if it was just, fresh off of a tree. Now, that's a great example, because when you think about it, how quickly that took place. Now, what did that? What told the structural components within that twig to grow a leaf, become healthy again, do this, do that? It was the source intelligence. He had such an open gateway inside himself, the open access to source intelligence. It can come through and do anything. It can reshape, reform, organize any aspect of structure, because all that structure has come from source. But because we are in a game of free will, and source respects free will, we have used our free will to choose to descend into density, and so that is respected. But when you choose your free will to go in and connect and allow that source energy to come back inside, well, that is when miracles happen. And that, I believe, is where miracles always happen from. It's always the source intelligence within. And so, coming back to the telomere aspect and what you said, the beautiful and refined organization of all matter, all structure, be they cellular or just generic matter all around, when a sufficient level of source love intelligence is permeated in there, is allowed in there, that is when everything is optimally maintained all the time, And I believe that is where, going back into past scriptures and tales of people who lived for thousands of years, they had access to that because they had a sufficient level of access there in order to have that duration. And from my teams, the impression I get from them is that, these very, very advanced high vibrational beings, they live in perfect biological synergy with their higher selves, and it's all maintained, all flowed exactly as it needs to be, and that is the kind of level that they operate from. And it's funny, to us it might seem like, that's a magical quality, what an amazing thing to happen. Well, the truth is, that's a normal state of being. We have descended into a very sort of abnormal way of being. And so this cycling thing we go through, when we get born, we start to fall to pieces, and then we have another shot and so on, is not a normal living condition for the vast majority of beings out there. I know there are different experiments that are going on, so there are different ways that beings want to experience limitation or lack of, they want to experience what it's like to be, somewhat disconnected or in a state of not remembering their true self as we are here. But the large state of beings out there do not operate like that at all. And, they are beautiful examples of how, when you have that access, how easy it is for that living intelligence to maintain every single aspect of you effortlessly. It's not even a thing.
So, David, you've talked about the telomeres being conduits of light.
Oh, yes.
Does that therefore mean that is going to be part of the process of moving towards the light body, of losing density and moving towards the light body? And also, what effect is that going to have on us now and into the future? Does that mean from now on we are going to start to live longer and be healthier as a result of embodying more light? Is that how it's going to work for us?
That's definitely my impression, yes. And I believe that the way the teams love to leave it, they try not to spoil too much of the surprise too soon, because they get such delight of watching humanity discover these things for themselves, which is part of the beautiful process we're in. But yes, having an elevated, the more you can elevate the infusion of your higher self within your body, the infusion of your source self, and your higher self is there's many levels to it, but essentially it's the extensions of source self, coming out through the dimensional layers that eventually ends up with a tip of it being within you. So, and essentially they're one and the same, but when I talk about the higher self, it's the level of source intelligence that's operating in a vibration just slightly higher than you, or even just above that as well. And so coming back to your question, so again, once we reach a sort of, it's almost like a critical state of, there's a level of where a sufficient level of source level of intelligence that goes through you, that flows through your DNA, your chromosomes, flows through the telomeres, where those blocks to those, the energy blocks that are there are sufficiently cleared so that liquid light intelligence can flow through. Suddenly, those structures become informed, they become intelligently overseen, and they become intelligently guided by that living light, that source love intelligence. Then, when that threshold is met, I believe that is when things kick in, like you mentioned there.
So are we close to that sort of tipping point?
My teams are saying some closer than others, and they're saying that there's no comparison, so they want to be clear on that. It's not like, some are more better in the race than others. They're saying, no, don't think like that. They're saying that what you need to understand is each soul has incarnated with a specific unfolding, and a specific unfolding to resolve certain puzzle pieces. And in some cases, that takes longer for them to do it than others, because some patches are particularly heavy and particularly difficult, and they take a longer period of time to resolve than others. And so they're saying, please never look at anybody else as being, oh my God, I'm behind because look how far they are. That is not in truth. That is not how it's working at all. And they're saying, they're like we were discussing before, they're reminding me of the example that a lot of souls that have developed themselves being very capable problem solvers in very dense, puzzle pieces, incarnate with very, very particular heavy things to sort out. And it might seem, oh God, I always feel down. I look at them over there and they're always so jolly and bright, and I'm always going through this crap. What is, why is this? Am I behind? Am I not as good? No, it's nothing like that. Everything that you are going through is what you selected yourself to go through as a puzzle piece solver. And that's an important thing to remember. You are here as a puzzle piece solver. The puzzles that you are working on are different from everybody else, and so is everybody else's, And so you have a particular sort of affinity, or each of us do, with the particular puzzles or the pieces that we want to solve, to add to the great tapestry, which is the grand solution for this project Earth. It's like a I don't know, a 10,000, 1 million piece puzzle, or whatever you want to call it, and each puzzle piece is something that we are working on. And when we finish with our piece, it goes in. But the puzzle isn't been solved until everybody has put their piece in and it all comes together. That's a better way of looking at it. And so you don't solve a puzzle all in one go. You do it a little bit over here and a little bit over there. That's kind of how it works. So, yeah.
So David, it's really interesting because, I've banged on in a lot of recent videos about this particular period of time, because the astrology has a very unique configuration from 2025 to 2027. It's reinforced by Ra's channeling for human design, Richard Rudd's Gene Keys work, the end of the Kali Yuga, end of the 12,000-year descending cycle of the Yugas, the indigenous prophecies of the Maya and the Hopi and the Quera, many, many cycles I can refer to that have highlighted this concentrated, accelerated period of evolution. But in your view, from your team's information, why is this kind of regeneration of the telomeres happening at this time? Why is it special?
So teams, do you want to chime in on that and my higher self? Okay, so they're saying that it's happening this particular time because they're using the term vibrational gateways are open enough.
Right.
And they're saying what that means is, so when I basically I'm hearing them, telepathically and empathically as well. So I feel what they're saying and I hear what they're saying, and I'm just repeating what they're saying to me. A little bit like, just to explain to people who are new to this, So there's channeling, which I'll be doing at the end of this, where, source intelligence comes right through and just speaks through. But there's empathic and telepathic communication where you can hear, but they're not speaking through you. You repeat what they're saying. So, okay, sorry, my teams, I just wanted to explain that. So they're saying that in order to get to this stage, a sufficient amount of dross, as they call it, the being is going dross, had to be cleared in order to facilitate the optical flows. And this being is saying what they mean by that, this is an Arcturian being, is that there are kind of okay, so just go slowly. I think I missed what you said there. They're saying, imagine it like this beautiful living optical system of flowing of light fibers, like almost the way you see lightning. Okay, that lightning follows these, physicists will tell you that, it's just going from the, one potential point to another potential point, and there's a difference, so it can flow across and cause a flash. I don't see it that way, but it's, but they're saying it's a little bit like those. These are sort of light plasma flows, and there's living intelligence that is beyond structure, that doesn't, because plasma itself is still has a quality of structure in it, even though it's a very high vibrational structure. But with this kind of thing, it's something that is beyond structure itself. Now, in order for that to flow, they're saying that certain things have to be switched back on. It's a little bit like they're saying, okay, can you give me a really good, clear example of this that you would, something that people can reference from? Okay, they're saying, like, think about the tree root system. If a tree comes, if it's planted into an old building site where there's rubble and debris and foundational stuff in the way, it's going to encounter a lot of blocks. And those roots aren't going to be able to just connect through, root out, and start to create the flow of water and minerals and other things that it needs. In a very similar way, it's sort of analogous with this, that there are certain sort of light connectivities that need to be set up. And in order for that to happen, certain dense blockages, old things that have just really switched things off, need to be moved out of the way. And until that is done, that particular light connectivity and flow just simply cannot take place. And they're saying because they were placed there by free will, by our experiences, by our reactions to experiences, and a whole host of other things, they have to be undone using our choices as well. And so, they're saying, in truth, the light can just dissolve through them. But because we don't realize and remember that we have placed them there by our own free will, they can't be removed in such a way until I see it now. Okay, no, I don't want that anymore. I want that to be gone, Then it can be dissolved, and the light can flow through and dissolve it and do its what it needs to do. And this comes back largely to when people say, why can't I really said I wanted to get this clear, and I'm really going through this all the time. When that happens, it's because on a conscious level, you haven't fully become aware consciously of the whole aspect of the problem yet. And we have this unconscious, which is the burial ground of all the stuff we didn't want to face or own, which gets pushed down. And that's where you encounter the difficulties, because we have used our conscious power to create this and push and compact all this stuff down. Now we have to undo it and just say, okay, go through the allowance process. I feel it now. Okay, my high self, help me feel and see what it is within me that I'm not owning, that I'm not acknowledging, or that I cannot see consciously yet, that I need to see. Then you'll go through and you'll start to see and feel it. Stuff will come up. You might feel a bit rotten for a while as the dross comes up. That's all part of the process. Suddenly, now you have a conscious, full spectrum view of what it is that you have chosen to put in place Now you can choose to let go of it and undo it. Now the light can get in there and do its work, because you've undone your free will choice to have it there and hide it away. It's a little bit like a treasure chest box. I'm going to put that stuff, I'm going to hide that, bury it. Yeah, it's gone. Yeah, I don't deal with that anymore. Well, it's still there, and it's still operating, and it's still doing its stuff in your energy field. And so now you've got to go find it again, dig it up, and let that thing out, to let it go. So in a way, that's kind of like what it is, And so that, in a way, very much akin to your question and what you asked, and just a flavor of what a lot of people, I get the feeling, are going through now. And my own experience, because I've gone through a lot of things where I've hit the wall and, really got frustrated, and, it happens to us all. And what my teams always tell me, it says, okay, it's fine, just relax, just calm down, and know that what is coming up is such an agitation because you have put such immense pressure to keep it down. And that is the strength of your energy reaction to what's coming up. If you can just breathe and relax and say, nothing's going wrong, everything's going right. This is coming up to be seen, but it's a lot of energy at the same time, and my resistance to it is also coming up parallel to it as well. As it clears, when you finally have that clear, you actually feel the influx of new light that can now go into places that they couldn't go before because of your choices to have the block there in the beginning. Now they can go into places, and now they can begin an even deeper elevation and upliftment. And that's kind of the cycle of healing and puzzle piece solving that we do. Bit by bit, you get a bit and you feel elated. Oh, there's another bit coming up. Oh, hang on a second. Plateau. Get into, oh, yep, I release that. Now I'm going up again. And it does this, it's sort of, and I'm sure everyone can empathize in one way or another with that process,
Yeah, because I've heard you speak, and other people have as well, that this is a completely unique evolutionary jump for humanity and other species too. So again, why now? Why now, in your view? And does it actually open up our
Siri, Gian, is this where you wanted to pause?
Yes. Okay, this is it. We would love to have everybody for another hour, but we can't do that. So now is the time, okay? So just right now, do a little bit heart breath so that you can sort of process things. Just feel it a little bit. So now, for meditation, begin heart pumping. 1 minute. Now, begin meditation for 5 minutes for CNR, consciousness, no reality. And inhale. Exhale. And breathe. And 2 minutes to become awareness and then understand what happened from EDS. Use your notes. Inhale. Exhale. And breathe. Okay. Aagia Pal, are you ready?
Sure. So quite a bit was going on for me. Initially, it was, oh my God, my life is in a shambles. And then the next minute, it was, oh, I just found another puzzle piece that fit. And then I went back to, oh my God, this is a shambles. There's so much to do, so much improvement to make. And then another puzzle piece came in. And so that was sort of the rhythm for, the last, I would say, time of meditation and such. And I asked my higher self, the higher, and this, as he says, the higher vibrational self. Actually, I think he said at one point fifth dimension, but also we could go into the 6th or 7th dimension, but that's for another time.
Right.
Asked, higher self, please help me see what I'm blind to so that I can release this yucky dross that has I've used way too much energy to push down. And so I sat, like he says, the rhythmic breathing, just
From
going,
heart breath.
yeah,
Go ahead.
and going into going is, just allowing to go deeply into my living, source energy, and just opening to source, and again with that request and intention to please help me see, whether it's other people showing me, or help me to be open to see what I can't see. And so this whole becomes, so I see the whole of what needs to be released. And free will, this is my free will to act right now, acting on my behalf, with source energy. And in the past of, yes, my free will, things I've said, done, the karma, all of that. So I'm asking now, please help me, not to all at once, please, just a little at whatever I can handle. Because, lately it's been, challenging. Life has been challenging because I've begun to see, and when I see, I feel. So it's in the heart, he said, empathically, and I can see it in other people. And so just wanting to get rid of the muck and gunk, and push it out, and also to push out the dross. And yep. And then the last thing what I heard was that doing this has an exquisitely positive effect on my own telomeres, in that I don't know how this does it, but it sort of mysteriously creates more telomerase. And the more telomerase, my system creates, the healthier, thanks, the healthier, my telomeres are, and thus the chromosome, double helix chromosomes, they, whatever. So that kind of the whole is, in a nutshell, is using my free will to ask my higher self, higher vibrational self, to help me get rid of release all the crap, that's the dross and so on, that's blocking me from emanating and radiating this higher source intelligence, heart source intelligence. So help me release it. And that seems to be what my job right now is, for myself. And I'm quite aware of it for other people, but of course they have to request, from their own free will. So yeah, so that's pretty much the journey I just went on, based on what I heard. Thank you for listening.
Can you really feel yourself?
I can feel sort of like it's almost, I'm a little afraid to feel, but I do feel lighter. I feel pieces, parts of me happier. There's a little more joy when I'm talking about this, and the knowing, right? Knowing it's not I'm gonna go back to doing more releasing, which is not comfortable at all. And but it does, the joy I'm feeling right now is going to give me enough strength, ammunition, whatever, to go back and to continue this process of acknowledging, recognizing, and allowing what needs to to leave, you know, the lower vibrational thoughts and so on, to leave, to be released, and or I don't know, transmuted, or you know, whatever, just out of my system.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's kind of a simple message, but to get there, I have to go through, I'll call it all the Mishigash. I have to go through all the junk in my mind to try to make sense of it. And then I just say to myself, don't try to understand it. Don't try to make sense. Just let this happen. And yeah.
Okay. Amazing.
It is. This whole thing is, you know, like I said, it's like a swing pendulum from, oh my God, this is unbelievably difficult. My life is a mess. And then to, oh, geez, another, oh, okay, another, all right, I'm going to let that happen. And it's that pendulum swing is, I guess, as accurate as I can be to describe where I'm at. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Okay. Okay, Gian Das Prem. Gian Das Prem? Do you have your unmute? There you are.
Satnam.
Saddam.
Okay. It certainly is a deeper format, and so here we are in another week, and deep listening, and it's so cool to have the messages to be coming through. And thank you so much for these sources of information and how we're coming together with it from week to week through all of this energy, and then letting go of that in order to find that higher source, right? So for me, this, like, it reminded me of alternate nostril breathing, because at first, upon practice, it can seem extremely difficult. Actually, it can be more challenging at times than it is at others, but learning how to do it and getting over that part of the practice can be something that we can learn. And we're learning how to change our brains, right? While we're doing it, we're actually changing our brains by the way of thinking. And it's just so beautiful to have this. So for me, it was about hybridization, about the variances of hybridization, which can be transferred to the species. So we're speaking of the human species today. When I go beyond that, though, I mean, it's just becoming matter, like moving away from that, or leaving the body, this, that, the other thing. With all of these practices throughout time, we've sort of brought ourselves to a still point. We try to, or we're moving in action, right? And we're doing all of these things. So today I was left with a glimpse of, the species and how they've been adapted to their use. And in some ways they do continue to adapt. In other ways, they're doing what they do in order to survive, because they live mostly outside unless they live underwater.
Okay.
So,
Gian Das Prem?
mm-hmm.
When you are listening or watching for the rest of this video is what you were talking about. Okay. And then also, I want to find you about free will, but go ahead.
So for me and this, I get a lot of visuals, and returning to certain ideas for the learning. And what I'm being showed is there's like have we all seen a kaleidoscope, right? When we look into it and we turn it and it just moves all these different directions. So sort of we are being given that many views of the possibility of change and the movement of directions and the light and the variation of the colors in the light.
Okay.
So we have a
Excuse me.
connection.
I'm sorry. You were also talking about kaleidoscope, and then he or she was also talking about fractals. So you got it. Go ahead.
There's an expanded view within that. And, like if we look into a microscope, we have a dial that we can turn, right, that will show us the broader image. And we're moving into this way of light. So visual aids are okay for those of us who have vision. And then there's the vibratory communication for those of us who may not have vision or who have less of a sense of hearing. So but the learning is still there, right? And this way of change being noticed for the hybridization is what's, I think, being given to me today through Baba Siri Chand and his spinning um, inside of the gimbal, which is it's a thimble, right? There's a way of protection for certain things that we have, but there's also a way of movement that we have within the science of how we're moving around the earth, and it affects our DNA, all of this that we do. So being shown to look inside of the colors extended into the light array for astral travel, seeing how the star, approaches us, and then it can come really close to us. In some ways, we can see it land if it's a shooting, getting inside of our atmosphere, and we're letting that light inside of our atmosphere. It's a little hard for me today. But going back to the keyboard with the synthesizer, and you have a dial, and then you have a certain range of tones that you can use, along that dial with the frequency changes. And if we can notice the correlation of the personal space with the outer space, 10 bodies, and there's kriyas that we can work on for our higher self. And when we come to the breathing and noticing the breathing and the patterns of the breathing, right, how they split up into, particular sections of time, and that we can go and look at the graphs for science that is proven for us to learn that the simple patterns that we're learning correlating to our practice. If we get deeper into our yoga, into the science of it, we can find out more about, the breathing patterns and the change of the brain and the change of the DNA, and seeing that, that sort of open up for us, for our technology, for our human technology, to understand our DNA, because there's only so much we know about it, like the oceans, like, science, we only know 4%, but we have that 96% ability to learn that expansion of our DNA. And mores, so mores are like values taken within a society, right? And the mores, so these caps, right? These golden caps that we are moving you beyond any fray to expand your DNA. And the kindness on command has no demand, just allowing the love communications for learning of the approaching, the new types of light, the new types of needs that we have. And I see it's I'm looking back at the pyramids, and I'm seeing it as a huge carnival of needs, where all could go there to learn, because there were just so many different people that went there. And after the warring and everything, it was sort of a place of celebration. This just what I'm seeing. I get stories. So no one can make it happen. We shall overcome as we are who we are, loving all and helping all for the common good of this consciousness, which allows us to have this free movement. And it's so beautiful to go back and to learn, those separations that we have had, in our opinions and our feelings through our trauma, that we have the ability to come back to that for us, as we're here, right? Because it's sometimes it can be scary, right, to walk around and think, wow, here we are all together, and this science is teaching us that, wow, we have been safe for a long time. So the present of that, noticing, the behaviors around it for us, that we are changing, and eventually that part of us will change, that this cycle of the planet coming upon its way will change the DNA of the entire species that are here. So wouldn't it be beautiful that we could all change at the same time, but to not have that fear of the science telling us, hey, there are objects out there, and and here we are here, noticing our history of objects colliding and coming back together, that this is such a gift that we're here to handle that freedom of just handing it over to the other, and we can see through the behaviors of others. You know, we're sharing that vibration in a sense. So yeah, opening up those places for us to go from one place to another. It can be from here to the other side of the universe if we can, make that our personal experience. But certainly we're sharing it to the point now when technology is allowing us to, look at a screen and just watch all of the mandalas that are in that recording, which are just, it's beautiful. For me, it's going back and looking at graphs and charts and back to the musical tone and toning circle. I was at a toning circle this Sunday, and it was just, so amazing for overtoning and just extending the breath into, a peaceful sound where we don't really push ourselves too much. We just sort of, we trust each other, and we can build together with that. And as knowing that there are people out there that need help in ways that we may be able to offer. And I think when we come from that kind-hearted place, it can allow us to see beyond that, the fear, the death, and the revenge part of it that we've been so locked into. And now we're ready to just move beyond that with our Waheguru way of sharing this infinite now with a wow. And there can be a playful way of forgiving for ourselves, that laughter and those tears sort of, it was a conversation this morning, and I heard Joni Mitchell, right? We shall overcome, and just where we are here, we're back again, gathering together through the generations and saying, we have been given this freedom, which we will allow for all to have. And so, yeah, and that can change the way that we are through that, even if it's the next 1,000 years, right, of being, of that, this is our being of 1,000-year-old way of living, of this new idea of freedom, and coming into this way today for us all to, as this billions of people, that we have this vibration. It's so, I have this dream of like people going outside, or what if we all say, the same, just go through the vowels or something and just yell, and how much would we hear if that was a billions of people? Like, how many billions of people are there? 7 or 8 billion people on the world. If we all went outside, and just sort of, yeah, screamed or just exalted, freedom, or how it is. And that's just my way of thinking. So I love you very much, and thank you for this opportunity and this time together and bringing it forward, to where we are in that walking prayer. Waheguru.
Okay, thank you, dear. And I just want to talk again about free work, free will, and we're not ETs our savior, because that's the crux of the whole thing with free will. And actually, at that point, we're going to learn that in the future with of our week at some time. because not everybody is going to do the ascension. Do you understand that? Does everybody understand that?
Mm.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Okay. Look at this. These funny thumbs. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Harimandir. Unmute yourself.
Well, there's not much to add. It's become so esoteric that it's hard to put it into um, the world we're living in. We have the much of what I was listening to lying down, so I didn't take notes, but in the process, it was interesting. And then in the process, there was this anxiety, which I took as something letting go or coming through. And um, but it's challenging to see. I like the part that the ETs are not our savior, because I had a hard time getting into ETs.
Mhm.
So I don't see what we're doing now is much different than what we've always been doing. Listening, the whole science of this guy is just the science of what he has discovered in this particular time. And it's always changing, it's always moving. It's something that at another time it would be very interesting to delve deeply into, but in my life, would just be another distraction. So that's kind of where I am. I don't need more distractions. I have to focus on what is real and my responsibility in the now. So that's where I am.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Japa Saraswati.
Satnam. Um, well, when I had just such a beautiful consciousness non-reality that it went straight into the
Wait a minute. Can you go louder, please?
I had such a beautiful consciousness non-reality that it went straight into the notes, but I knew what my message is. Um, and it's about the other is you, because um, there's a coworker that I have. She's a cleaning lady at the old folks home where I work,
Yeah.
and she smokes cigarettes, and she has the smell of cigarette smoke clinging to her, and she seems like also kind of a scary lady. She has like a scary face and a bit of a gruff attitude, but I can smell the cigarette smoke on her, and I immediately read it as self-punishment. And so, anyway, last week, so I started doing heart breath for her. Um, and it wasn't just heart breath for her. What I recognized is that it was heart breath for myself, that I was recognizing the places where I've done self punishment in my own life. And so it was really me doing heart breath for myself. And it then brought me to Ho'oponopono because of the doctor basically doing heart breath for himself while looking at pictures of the inmates at the correctional facility. Um, that it was fundamentally about the self, and then from the it was so powerful, in fact. So this woman, my coworker, I started doing the heart breath for her a couple weeks ago. Not like a lot, not in a really concerted way or anything, just whenever I would smell the cigarette smoke, um I would send her a little whiff of heart breath. And then maybe a week or two ago, a week and a half ago, she crashed her car in a single car accident. She just got distracted on the road or something. She doesn't know what happened. She just drove off the road and ruined her car. And she's been so depressed about it. And you can see she just has had a totally flat affect. So then I started really doing real heart breath for her. Like I sat down for a little while and I just sent heart breath to her, but also really heart breath for myself about, once again, whatever is that um self-punishing and self-limiting and how do I say it? It feels like keeping you on a short leash, um, thing, that this lady, but really doing this heart breath for myself. And it felt so incredibly powerful. And I wasn't gonna, I certainly wasn't gonna say anything to the lady, but she has a bit of a gruff face and a gruff accent and a gruff attitude. So anyway, this week she was especially sweet to me, a couple of times. And I think it's the heart breath that she could feel that I was praying for her. But when we were watching the video today and learning, what I felt as I was meditating in the consciousness non reality was the telomeres creating new telomeres for both myself and for her, and breaking up the densities in my energy body and becoming uh, Satnam, or my true self, who I was created to be, and rewriting our history. And by which I mean our history, I mean the history of the lineage of the epigenetics of the generations before and the generations to come. That it's not limited to healing just the present current moment, but that it's about healing all and very globally, and healing everybody all at once. I guess that was the message.
Wow, sounds great.
Yeah, it was really, really sweet, really sweet. The lady, I could feel, like I said to myself, this isn't in my mind. She's usually a very gruff personality, and she was very, very extra sweet to me, you might say. Um, and so it's not in my head.
Got it.
But the cigarette smoke too, that's one of my signs. If I smell cigarette smoke, it's one of my signs that I'm usually in the wrong place. I remove myself if I smell cigarette smoke, and it's a sign for me, like when I'm doing my antique books, if I go to uh, an estate sale or something like that, part of my sixth sense is that if the space feels bad, I don't like to get I don't like to get antiques from them, especially books, but sometimes I get this really developed sixth sense of like, oh, the books are going to be there, and I'll just reach for the right one and I know where it is, and it's magical. And one of my signs is about the cigarette smoke. If I smell cigarette smoke, I just say, oh, not here, not for me. And when this woman, when I was working with her, when I first started working with her, we never get too close that she's like right on my energy field, but just that like when she'll pass by, I can sense it. And so that was part of what I did to acknowledge, that it's about me being in the right place, that like it's not, and sending, it's part of how I realized that she was doing self punishment. And I saw her doing self punishment in so many other ways that I do and did exactly the same things. She was just a perfect mirror for the things that I have done with myself, and that's why it was able to work to see that reflection. And it reminded me of there's a Rumi um, uh, quote, the poem. It's from Rumi, and I'll paraphrase, but it says um, that we polish, um, uh, kindle polish the image to kindle longing in others, but it's about polishing the image in the mirror, polishing the self to kindle longing. And it's both reflexive of the self, and it's Rumi is a little bit more delicate. I'll try to send it to us after the meeting, but that's what I felt with her. Was I felt this Rumi, this sending of love to her that came bouncing right back onto me through this mirror image. I thought I was trying to send love to somebody else, and I found it just reflected right back at me.
Wow, how wonderful.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
And I see the angel, and I really wish I could hear that from her. But
I think this is Jagat Gurukar, and I think that she is calling in she has appointments, so she's probably listening at, and can't talk. Maybe she's in her appointments.
oh, okay.
But I'll tell you, you know what? She's the one that taught me how to do heart breath the
Oh my
first
goodness.
time. And she has a long, long, deep relationship with Baba City Chand at Altamont Springs, and she's just the bee's knees.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Does anybody have anything else? Okay. God bless you, all of you. Okay. So, Gian Das Prem, would you lead us for our song?
Yes, I will. Okay. So we'll inhale, do an inhale, and then on the second inhale, we'll do one time through long time sun. And okay, inhale together and exhale, and then we'll inhale to begin. May the long time sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on, guide your way on. Guide your way on.
Inhale. Bless you all. Love you. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
See ya.
Everybody,
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
see you
you.
next
Take
week.
care. Yep.
Love to all. Have a good week.
Thank you.